Kobe with the Millennium Rings. This is me and Dom's new YouTube channel. We're just trying to bring y'all some competitive content, maybe some casual stuff every once in a while, pack openings, whatever.
I'll bet you listen.
And yeah, so I played at a regional this past weekend. I got 5th. I played the Steady tier deck. This is going to be like an in-depth profile. If you want like a short profile, there's going to be one on the Luck and Chuck channel. I think they're dropping that like tomorrow, maybe Thursday. But this is going to be like a more in-depth profile, kind of explaining card choices, maybe showing combos. Even though this is like a fake format, this is still like a really cool deck. I think this is the best deck in the room. I just got kind of unlucky one match, and you know, happens. But shout out to obviously Dom and Fuji. They made this deck with me, mostly by themselves, but I'm gonna take some credit as well. I added like one card in here. And shout outs to my team, Pandemonium Gaming. Shout out to Top Choice Gaming, Dom's team. Shout out to everyone that was in my card, Josh, Chuck, and Higgins. They're cool, except Chuck. But you know, I'm just gonna get into the profile. It was 41 cards, 15-15. Played the normal tier deck, so this. So you have to play 12 in this deck. I'm not really gonna go crazy in depth about why you're playing 12 monsters in your monster combo deck. But you really need to see these as often as you can. You want them in deck, you want them in hand, kind of just everywhere. These are the most important cards. This one by far is the most important because he's the only 1-card combo in your deck. There's like a 3-card combo. If you open like this, that it's 4 summons, puts up trap card, kit, dweller, or trap card, kit, any rank 4 that you want. You kind of play this as like a very mid-range resource deck. You can grind with anyone, you can combo, you could do game shots and 4 summons. This card, like, you never use this on your opponent's turn unless you absolutely have to. Like, if they're trying to FTK you, then you can do this and like hope, but you really don't want to put your tournament experience on milling 3 random cards from the top of your deck. You kind of want as much control variance as you can. And obviously this concept kind of stems from Christian Urena. Shout out to G. He kind of like innovated this from the start, and me, Dom, and Fuji kind of like took this a little bit further with the time that we could. But yeah, this can make Toad, this can make Elf. These are the ones you want to open as these are the ones you want. Like this, pitching any of these gets you a fusion. It also has a chance to get you 2 fusions if you're crazy. It also makes Dweller, like level 4 is the most important level in the deck. But yeah, 12 dudes. Then for hand traps, and this. Okay, so the reason you play 13 hand traps is because this deck wants to open 2 hand traps, 3 engine cards. If you want to open about 2 of a card, 2 of a specific group of cards in your 40 to 44 card deck, you want to play about 13 copies of it. That gives you a solid chance of drawing 2 without drawing 3. Because you really don't want to see 3. If you see 3, you kind of put yourself on having to open this guy. And you kind of want your deck to be as flexible as possible. So there's 1 Ash. I know, don't laugh. This regional is kind of like, this is kind of like a play for your surroundings kind of thing. So this regional is a lot of rogue. This was Ghost Mourner. There were 3 Ghost Mourners in the deck, and we were playing 15 hand traps. But I wanted Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck. I'll just pull that out now. Because this kind of acts like a hand trap against most decks right now. And I didn't want Mourner because it kind of streamlined like your interactions. Like you could only interact with the board with Mourner, whereas this card kind of interacts with everything. But you never want to see multiples of this card because this is the lowest impact card in your deck. It just has the most flexibility. And you really don't want to draw multiple low impact cards versus decks while like, because you're trying to resolve like gaining advantage, and low impact cards don't help you with advantage. They help you like interact with one card, use a high impact card, blow up the rest of the board. Whereas like Crow can be considered a high impact card. You can Crow like a tier monster and it just ends their turn sometimes. Nib is a high impact card because every time this card resolves, touches the board, the game ends. It should end if you're playing correctly. This card isn't the same way. Baylor's not the same. Like this isn't the same. You could do this, but I don't want to draw 2 Ashes. I would rather draw 2 Baylors because I could activate both of them. Easy MVP of the main deck. This card was absurd all weekend. This card just went in against the mirror match. It went in against Sprite. Went in against Exo Sisters. Like picking apart which floodgate you want. The card's just crazy. This is probably the best this card has been since like 2019. This card is just very above average right now. And this format changes immensely with Darkwing Blast, and we'll have new profiles up for this, mostly at Minneapolis since we're trying to win that event. But we also played these cards. This card should be banned. I don't know why this evaded the ban list. This is like one of the most zackiest cards. I think I resolved this like twice. But every mirror I played against, they resolved this card at least once. I hate this card. Please ban this card. Rhoda is just another name. This is a high impact name though. It's not like this deck can't play Foolish the same way that the other deck could, like the combo deck, because you don't have a lot of monsters. Like you have really 12 monsters you can fusion with, 15 if you count Crow to make like Mud Dragon, but you're not really trying to make Mud Dragon like that. But like you can't reliably open like tier monster Foolish every game, whereas you could just open Rhoda and this is everything. This gets you to every card you want in your deck because Rhino is everything. And these are the most important cards in the mirror match with the slow match. The first person, it's kind of like a boat race to see this card. First person to see this card, you're just so far ahead of your opponent. The 500 attack bonus like actually matters. Popping a card every turn. This card is your out to floodgates, like the fair floodgates. This card is your out to every back row card. It's just a very crazy card. I understand why it's $100. And we played 2 Desires. This is a slow deck. You just want advantage. And your extra deck is more important, so you can't play Extrav. Otherwise you would. I mean, Prosperity, because you would. Prosperity's obviously just the best pot card in the game, but this one, for this deck, this card's crazy. Last trap cards. So this card helps you make Toad. It's an out to Mystic Mine. It's an out to Rivalry that you can activate. It outs any problem monster. It also, like, pitching a card helps you combo. Like, sometimes you'll get hand trapped on your Rhino, and your turn will end because you're playing a bad deck, so you'll set, like, trap card, and you'll have, like, any tier name in hand. And this is still, like, 5 interactions on your opponent's turn. To kind of just like gain advantage on their turn while progressing your actual game state. Dynamiscus is like hella important. I wouldn't suggest siding this out post side unless you're going, like, know for a fact you're going second. This card's just so good. It makes Toad, it makes Elf to bring back your Merleys. It's a dude that, like, so like you can flip Sullick and then activate Solix effect on flip, targeting one of their monsters, and then if they don't have a response, you chain Dynamiscus, and then you could send your Dynamiscus. It'll get banished, but you can send this to negate, because this doesn't have to send a tier monster, you just have to have a tier monster on board. So you can keep like whichever dude you want if you need to keep it. There's like little interactions like that. Sometimes like just flipping this, even though you don't have a tier monster, you just flip it to summon back Dynamiscus so you don't die. So the next turn you have your Solix, so whenever you're playing through like a Dragostapelia, you can go like normal this guy. Activate effect the Dragostapelia, you chain, sack him off, target something else, and then he resolves, and then you could use his effect to send a dude from hand. Like, it's really good. And this, a lot of people wouldn't really play this card. Most tier decks you see play 2 of this, but this deck is very mid-range, and you just want the option of either one. You could even play Crime if you really want to, but I don't think that card's very good. But like having the option to have a Book of Moon to just interact with anything. Also, this being able to send from deck actually matters, because your combo is only going to end on like a fusion, a rank 4, and one of these cards. So like you kind of want your, whenever you do that and you don't have another tier, you want this, because it'll get you to another tier from deck. It's a guaranteed tier instead of having to mill 5 and just hope. Even though like you should hit a tier off of that, you still don't want to put the variance into it. The less variance you put into this deck, the better your overall tournament experience should be. So that was the main 41 cards. This was perfect. I felt every card played a role, and it was just really good. This card was like good, it just wasn't as impactful as you would think it would be. Just a lot of people at the start of the format aren't playing combo decks. They're scared of like how they interact with other decks right now, like how they get nibbed, how you can play through nibbed. As the format progresses, like if this format were to keep progressing, I do think you'd see a combo deck come in. Whether or not it'd be like the Lunalight tier deck, I don't know, but I do think a combo deck would come into this format, and this card would just be extremely powerful, and you'd probably be playing 16 to 17 hand traps instead of 13. So for the extra deck, got these. You could play 3 of this, but your extra deck's really tight, and you want to minimize the impact that Ghost Cherries would have if this gets hit. This card's hella important. Like this, if you're not summoning this card at some point in the game, you're probably not winning. She just interacts with so many cards in your favor. This guy is very important. Like, you make this card a lot. He's involved in almost all of your game shots. Like, when you're going for game, you have Field Spell up, you summon this dude, he's 3,500, and if you summon Garura, he's 4,000, and then you just put up any dude, and that's just 8,000 damage. It's kind of hard for this deck to kill easily, so like big dudes helps. That's also why we were trying to play Mourner, because like the damage off of Mourner kind of matters. Like if you Mourner them, it's really easy to kill them. But yeah, these very good. Not much to explain there. This, you have to play this for your grind game. This is for like making a rank 4. You cycle all your fusions back as much as you can. And then we played 2 Dragostapelia. This card, like, this card's so much more important in this deck. When we were playing the combo deck, you really wouldn't like summon this guy that much and like kind of need him. He was just like there sometimes he eradicated this dude, but this deck is like really important. Against Exosister, this card's just like an FTK. They summon Martha and the dude, you just target one of the dudes, and they're level 1, so they have to commit another dude, and if you have another one, it's just, this card's just absurd. It's good against Sprite. He's even good against the mirror sometimes. Him being 32 off the field spell also matters, because he could run over Collider Hearts. This was a really good card. I didn't think he was that great, because I only played the combo deck for a while, but after playing this card was just absurd. Elf, this is a Cherry's target, and you can kind of like make it with Merrily, and like sometimes you like have to Merrily activate its effect, and then your opponent like interacts with their board, so you summon Happiness, and you kind of just want to get to like another turn, so you can Elf summon back your Merrily on your opponent's turn to hopefully mill 3. If you mill like 9 cards and you don't see a tier name, it's you're kind of getting really unlucky because there's so many. But like, even though you don't want to put that kind of variance in your tournament, sometimes you do have to. Sometimes you do have to get lucky, especially to like win an event. You do have to get lucky sometimes, and like having the option to summon back your Merrilies kind of matters. Also, this like if this lives for a turn ever, well, this card's just gaining so much advantage. Like this makes it back to your turn. This card's crazy. This is the most summoned Link monster in my extra deck. I only played 3. This guy was really good. He took a Gizmek once, and that was crazy. He took a Gizmek popped a card, and then like I comboed through a full board of the tier mirror. He took like my opponent's Merrily to mill 3, and then I put his Merrily back under his deck with mine, like my tier name, so now he doesn't have Merrily in his grave to summon back off Elf eventually. And him, if this card ever gets a search card, like sometimes you summon him to crash to search like Sharon to summon Sharon and trigger a tier name. Kind of matters. It's really good. I summoned this once. This could have been a different card, but kind of glad we played it. Like having the option to out anything in the game, like this outs Underworld Goddess because it targets it. This being able to out like Floodgates sometimes, big monsters, like just the option of it. You could play Phoenix, you could play Cerberus, you could play another Fusion, another Exceed, whatever. This was probably the best choice I felt. And then rank 4 monsters. So this was Bahamut Shark for Toad, but I wasn't making Bahamut very often. It was like really niche scenarios where like you'd be able to do it as your 4th summon, and this is your 5th summon, to then make another play. But like I'm not really trying to do all that. I think the simpler you play with this deck, the better you are, or the better you're winning. You can still make this card like with Merrily and Dynamiscus, or 2 Merrilies. Like you take your opponent's Merrily. So this comes up sometimes. Redoer was really good. Mostly like you'd Redoer on your own turn. Like you summon Sharon, but you haven't used Sharon's effect in the grave yet, and you get stopped a couple times and you're trying to push through a board. So you summon Redoer, and then banish him on your own turn to trigger your Sharon to summon another fusion. This was really good. This card's an FTK in the mirror. If you summon this and then you have like interactions with it, it just limits them so much. This card's just super important. And then Baguska. This was my addition. Dom had mentioned it. He was like, we probably could play Baguska in the extra deck or the side deck somewhere. This is for when you get shifted. If you get shifted, you can summon Baguska against like almost any deck that's trying to shifter you. If you Baguska them, you're probably getting another turn. The only way you don't is if like the Flunder deck they hard open the continuous spell, field spell, and a dude and a big dude. Like that's a lot of cards to out this. But this card won me like 4 games. Like you can summon Baguska, and then you summon you skip their turn, and then on the next turn you detach with Baguska. It doesn't trigger your tier effect, don't worry, I'm not cheating. But then you'll go like Sharon effect in hand, summon the Sharon, pitch. Most of the time you're making Baguska with Rhinoheart. So you fuse away your Rhinoheart and 2 dudes to make Kaleido in defense. And then you switch your Baguska to attack mode. And you do this in defense, that way like if they have any dudes on board that would negate this, like negate any of your effects, they can't because you have a Baguska. Then you turn your Baguska to attack mode and go to battle, swing, and then you make Zeus. That's the last card in the extra deck. You make Zeus over it, and you detach with Zeus, and it kills your Kaleido Heart, and then you Kaleido summon back, and it sends another tier. So when you Kaleido, you shuffle something back, then your tier fusions again, and you can make Kit now, and then Kit can get you like a trap card, and now you have trap card with Kaleido, whereas like you don't have to kill them, because how are you ever losing with this if you got to another turn and stuff? But like, this is a really cool way, and you did this in like 4 summons. You could end your board like this too, and you're never getting nibbed. A lot of people still side nib against this deck, even after watching me play game one. They still side nib versus me, and I don't deviate from the game plan. You're still never getting nibbed. This is still 4 summons. I think it's 4. It might be 5. Even if it's 5, like, you still get this. Yeah, this is really cool extra deck. And the side deck. So MVP of the side deck was Ghost Cherries. Post side, you tell the mirror to go first because they're siding cards. They're siding more cards going second than you would going first, and the mirror is very grindy. The extra card matters, like drawing the extra card, drawing for turn, and this card is just so high impact in the mirror. You could draw this at any point during the game if you're playing a long game, and this actually hits something that matters. This card's really important. It's also good against Sprite because you play Elf. And any deck that would summon Dweller, what their game plan is to summon Dweller, you still side this against them and you hit the Dweller. Because if they're not Dwellering you, they're probably not ending on anything that matters. Played Gamma Driver. We wanted this somewhere in the deck because this is still the most high impact hand trap in the format. But I didn't want it in the main deck because this regional was very rogue. They play a lot of trap cards. They play a lot of like bad decks. So I didn't feel this would be like that great in the main. Also, the brick in the main, I didn't really want to play this. There's no brick cards in the main deck. But yeah, this card was really good. Against the mirror, I would side this and this. Going, like, I'm telling them to go first. I'm siding this. And you do the shadow side where you take your whole side deck, shuffle it into your main deck, take 15 cards out so they don't know if you're telling them to go first or not. This card trades with like Dracospellia, it trades with Field Spell, which matters. And this card's just really good against every deck that isn't tier as well. But every deck that puts a monster on the board, you kind of will discard. If this card was at 3, you'd be playing it. So if it's at 1, you still play it. It's a really good card. This was the 15th card in the extra deck though, or in the side deck. I wasn't really sure on what it should be, and then I was like, I kind of want Pink. He's just a big body, outs big dudes. Good card. Duster, and then 3 evenly. This was like all the back row hate you need, because you have Field Spell, you have Dynamiscus, you have Cosmic. This card's crazy. Nobody's putting up Omni Negates. The deck that does put up an Omnigate is the Scareclaw deck, and I don't think that deck's very good. Like the Pack group, Pack, Nesh, Hani, all them, they kind of like that deck, but I think that deck, you just need so many cards to play to make your whole board. Like if post side, if you just tell them to go first, they have so many hand traps in their deck, they probably can't even full combo you. Like, also against the mirror, you put this in. Like, you're probably putting all these in. Maybe not this. It depends on how they're playing. If they're playing the combo deck, you put this in because you just want more hand traps. But, like, even against everything, like, this card's just absurd. And this is, like, another Alta Mystic Mine. You kind of want to diversify your Alta Mystic Mine with the, like, the Mystic Mine burn deck going around because they play, like, Curse Seal. So you, against that deck, you just wait till you draw multiple outs to mine. If you draw like 2 of this, then you start playing. You don't play every time you see one, because then they just negate them. That's how the deck wins games. If you just play, like, you know they can't kill you, they can't rush kill you, so you just wait. You just wait for them to wait for you to build up your advantage and then play. Yeah, these were good cards. And the last card was Eradicator. This could be any floodgate that you want. Obviously not Rivalry. Why would you play Rivalry in this? But you can play Skill Drain, you can play Anti-Spell, you can play Ghosted if you want, you can play this card, you can play Deck Devi. If you want, you can take some things out of here and play like 2 of this, 2 Trap Trick, 2 Deck Devi. That way you can hit everything, and it's like 4 copies of this, 4 copies of Deck Devi. But I didn't want to play that many cards for going first, mostly because I'm telling the mirror to go first, so I'm not going first very often post-side. But this card's just good against every rogue deck. I did this against the mirror once. He told me, I told him to go first one game, and then he thought it was a good idea. Like, you could kind of tell that he was like kind of new to it, so he kind of just copied what I did, and he told me to go first post side in the 3rd game, and I had this, so I eradicated him for all of his cards. It was like 4 cards off the Eradicator. It was pretty sick. Yeah, that was the deck. For matchups, I played round 1. I played against Tearlaments, the combo tier deck. That was a 2-0, I think. He didn't play very well, but like it was more of he kind of misplayed turn 1, game 1. He activated too many cards, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but sometimes you can do that. You can activate too many cards during your turn, and it puts you in bad situations. That's kind of what happened. He caught it like as he did it, and then this deck just capitalized on it. And I played against, I think, Ycs Sisters round 2. But overall, I played 3 Sprite decks, Sprite variants. My loss in the tournament was to Sprite, Live Twin, Runic. I just didn't open a ghost. I didn't open a non-engine card either game. And my draw in the tournament was to Heroes. We just played a really, really, really long game too. I negated DPE 4 times. It was pretty cool. Played 2 tier mirrors and an Ycs Sister. This should be 7 rounds. Yeah, it was a cool tournament experience. Shout out to Fry and 1UP TCG for putting on the tournament. It ran very well, much better than the Sweat Fest from 2019. Good job to him for upgrading. And yeah, so y'all like, comment, and subscribe. I haven't said that before. Y'all do all that and give us feedback. What do y'all want to see on the channel going forward? We're pretty open to putting almost anything. We're gonna vlog YCS Minneapolis and have that up. We're gonna show y'all kind of how we go about our tournament days, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. Yeah, we're gonna have Discord talks, me and Dom. Sometimes I'll fly out to Dom or he'll fly out to me. Whenever he moves into Texas, we'll kind of get that all sorted. And yeah, we'll have a lot more content coming y'all's way. But yeah, that's it.